Your dog barks at things other dogs ignore. They startle at sounds that never used to matter. They pace when the energy in the room changes. They watch your face more than they watch anything else. You probably spent a long time wondering what was wrong with them. Wondering if it was the breed. Wondering if something happened before you got them. Wondering if you missed something. You didn't miss something. You were something. And this video is not here to make you feel guilty about that. It is here to help you understand what actually happened and what you can do about it right now. Welcome. Subscribe if you want to understand your dog at a level most owners never reach. Let's get into it. 1. Your dog has been reading you since day one. Dogs do not experience the world primarily through their own emotions. They experience it through yours. This is not a metaphor. It is neuroscience. A study published in the journal PLOS One found that dogs discriminate between human emotional expressions with measurable accuracy. Fear, stress, calm, joy. Your dog reads all of it, not occasionally, continuously. Every moment they are in the same room as you, a part of their brain is running a real-time scan of your emotional state. And here is where it becomes important. Dogs are not just observers of human emotion, they are regulators of their own nervous system based on what they observe. When your emotional state is calm and stable, your dog's nervous system takes its cue from that. It settles. It regulates downward. It learns that the environment is safe. When your emotional state is anxious, elevated, unpredictable, your dog's nervous system takes its cue from that too. It stays alert. It stays ready. It learns that the environment requires vigilance. Repeat that pattern over months, over years, and you do not just have a dog that sometimes picks up on your anxiety. You have a dog whose baseline nervous system has been calibrated to match yours. Researchers call this emotional contagion. It is the same mechanism that makes you tense when you walk into a room where two people have just been arguing. You didn't see the argument. You felt the residue of it in the air. Your dog lives in that residue every single day. And over time, it becomes their air too. The 4 things that change in a dog raised by an anxious owner. This is the part most people have never heard explained clearly. Because the effects of chronic emotional contagion in dogs are not random. They follow a pattern. And once you know the pattern, you will see it everywhere. The first thing that changes is the startle response. Dogs raised in chronically elevated emotional environments develop what researchers call a lowered threat threshold. This means the level of stimulation required to trigger an alarm response drops significantly. A dog raised in a calm household might startle at a loud, sudden noise. A dog raised in an anxious household startles at the mailman's footsteps, at a car door closing 2 streets away, at the particular silence that falls before a thunderstorm. Their alarm system has been recalibrated by experience to fire earlier and more often, not because they are broken, because they were trained by their environment to stay ready. The second thing that changes is owner monitoring behavior. Dogs raised by anxious owners develop an unusually intense focus on their owner's face, body, and emotional state. They check in more frequently. They orient toward the owner's face in moments of uncertainty rather than toward the environment. They use the owner's emotional state as their primary source of information about whether the world is safe. This sounds like attentiveness. In excess, it becomes a burden, because if the source they are checking is itself unreliable, if the face they are reading for reassurance is itself carrying anxiety, then every check-in returns the same answer. Something might be wrong. Stay alert. The third thing that changes is recovery time. All dogs get startled. All dogs experience moments of stress. The measure of a well-regulated nervous system is not whether stress happens, but how quickly the system returns to baseline after it does. Dogs raised in chronically anxious environments show significantly longer recovery times. The stress spike is the same. The return to calm takes 2, 3, 4 times as long, because the baseline they are returning to was never fully calm to begin with. The fourth thing that changes is physical. Chronic low-grade stress in dogs produces measurable physiological effects. Elevated baseline cortisol, digestive sensitivity, skin and coat issues that have no clear allergenic cause, disrupted sleep, a body that is never fully at rest because the nervous system running it has never received consistent permission to fully rest. These are not behavioral quirks. These are the physical signatures of a nervous system that has been living on alert for a very long time. 3. What you did not know you were teaching them. No one chooses to make their dog anxious. No one sits down one day and decides to transmit stress to the animal they love. What happens is quieter than that, and more universal. Anxious owners tend to do 3 specific things with their dogs that compound the problem without knowing it. The first is over-reassurance. When a dog shows signs of stress, the instinct of an anxious owner is to soothe immediately, to pick them up, to say it's okay, over and over, to flood them with comfort the moment distress appears. This feels like love. To the dog's nervous system, it is confirmation. When you rush to comfort a dog the moment they show anxiety, you are sending a signal their brain translates directly. Your distress produces an immediate response from the most important person in my world, which means the distress was warranted, which means there was something to be distressed about. You intended to say, everything is fine. Their brain heard you were right to be worried. The second is anticipatory anxiety transfer. Anxious owners often become anxious about their dog's anxiety. They start to anticipate the triggers. They tense before the walk even begins because they know the neighbor's dog is usually out. They hold the leash tighter before anything has happened. They change their breathing, their posture, their grip before the stressor appears. And the dog reads all of it. They arrive at the trigger already primed, already elevated, already told by your body that what is coming is dangerous. The trigger confirms what your body already said. The third is inconsistent emotional availability. Anxious people have good days and hard days. On good days, they are warm, present, engaged. On hard days, they are withdrawn, distracted, irritable. For a dog who has learned to use the owner's emotional state as their primary regulatory tool, this inconsistency is profoundly destabilizing. They cannot predict which version of you they will get. And an unpredictable attachment figure is, to a mammalian nervous system, more stressful than a consistently negative one. At least consistency can be adapted to. Unpredictability keeps the system permanently on alert. 4. This is not damage. This is a response that made sense. Here is what I need you to hear before we go any further. Your dog is not broken. Your dog is not bad. Your dog is not the product of something you did wrong out of carelessness or neglect. Your dog is an extraordinarily sensitive creature who took the emotional environment they were given and adapted to it with everything they had. The hypervigilance was smart. The owner monitoring was smart. The lowered threat threshold was smart. Given the information they had, given the environment they were reading, every single adaptation they made was the correct response. The problem is not that they responded. The problem is that the environment they were reading was not as dangerous as their nervous system learned to treat it. Your anxiety was real. The threats it was signaling, in most cases, were not. And a dog who has spent years preparing for threats that never fully arrived is a dog whose nervous system is exhausted in a way that never shows up cleanly on the surface. A study from the University of Helsinki examining long-term stress indicators in domestic dogs found that dogs living with owners who scored high on anxiety measures showed significantly elevated long-term cortisol levels, even in the absence of any identifiable acute stressor. The stress was ambient. It was atmospheric. It was the water they swam in every day. And the first step toward changing it is the same for both of you. Not fixing the dog, changing the atmosphere. And there is something you can do about it. Starting today. Keep watching. 5. What actually helps? The good news is real. The nervous system is not fixed. It is plastic. It rewrites itself in response to new and consistent experience. And the same mechanism that wrote anxiety into your dog's nervous system can write safety into it, with the right inputs, applied consistently, over time. The first input is your own regulation. This is the hardest one and the most important one. The single most powerful thing you can do for an anxious dog is to become, in the moments that matter most, a calmer version of yourself. Not permanently, not perfectly, just in the moments before the trigger, during the walk, at the door, in the room where they pace. Your dog is reading you in real time. If you can slow your breathing before the leash goes on, you change the information they are receiving before anything has even happened. If you can drop your shoulders and soften your grip at the moment the neighbor's dog appears, you are sending a different signal than your body has sent before. New signal, new prediction. Over time, new nervous system. The second input is structured, calm experience, not absence of stimulation. Structured, predictable, low-stakes calm, a daily routine that the dog can learn to predict, a walk at the same time, a rest period in the same place, a feeding ritual that signals the same thing every day. Predictability is the antidote to the kind of anxiety built on unpredictability. A dog who knows what is coming next has one less thing to stay alert for. Multiply that across a day, a week, a month, and the baseline begins to shift. The third input is letting stress happen without amplifying it. When your dog startles, when they pace, when the anxiety appears, your job is not to rush in with reassurance. Your job is to be a calm, unbothered presence that demonstrates through your own body that the thing that triggered them was not, in fact, a threat. You do not ignore them, you do not punish them. You exist calmly in the same space as their anxiety, modeling what it looks like when the nervous system decides this is not an emergency. That modeling is the most powerful teacher available to a dog, more powerful than training, more powerful than treats, more powerful than any intervention you could buy, because it comes from you, and you are the only source in their world that has ever mattered this much. The dog watching your face right now as you go about your day is not looking for entertainment. They are looking for information. Information about whether the world is safe. Information about whether they can rest. Information about whether the vigilance they have carried for so long is still necessary. Every time you breathe slowly, they receive an answer. Every time you move through the house without tension in your body, they receive an answer. Every time you sit down quietly and let them settle beside you without the undercurrent of your own unresolved anxiety filling the room, they receive an answer. The answer is this: you can put it down now. I've got this. You're safe. They have been waiting a long time to hear it, not in words, in the only language that has ever reached them, the language of your nervous system speaking to theirs. If this changed the way you see your dog, share it with someone who loves their dog and wonders sometimes why they seem so worried all the time. Subscribe. We are here every week, helping you understand the animal that chose to spend their one life with you. They deserve to be understood, and so do you.